Did you know that NASA is launching the Artemis program to send people to the moon by 2024? NASA's ambitions for sustained lunar exploration and development was recently published. However, the agency is offering its first idea of what a US presence on the moon might look like beyond the 2024 milestone. To explore and develop the moon, competent and robust transportation systems will be required. To know more about the SpaceX moon-based Artemis program, do well to watch this video to the end. In a statement released with the report, NASA's Administrator Jim Bridenstine claimed that NASA is ready for the next challenge of space exploration, developing a sustained presence on and around the moon. After 20 years of constantly living in low Earth orbit, we are now ready for the next challenge of space exploration, the establishment of a sustained presence on and around the moon, Bridenstine said. Artemis will serve as our North Star for years to come and will go further in the exploration of the moon, showing how we can successfully make the first Mars trip possible. The new proposal that unveiled this program emerged from a 13-page study presented to the National Space Council on April 2nd and is now headed by Vice President Mike Pence. The study provides an overview of NASA's strategy to fund and undertake the 2024 moon landing. The study also examines what long-term activities in space might allow the United States to achieve. The new research shows that the United States' first lunar colony, known as the Artemis Base Camp, would conduct long-term research. This station may ultimately be situated in Shackleton Crater on the moon's south pole. The paper says Artemis Base Camp will be a base-like facility capable of hosting 4 astronauts at the South Pole for trips that will ultimately last for several days. Furthermore, the facility will need utilities such as a communication system, a waste disposal area, and radiation shielding in addition to a landing pad in the long run. The foundation might also be a location for testing innovative approaches to problems with the lunar dust and long, cold lunar nights. By covering local materials into valuable resources, the facility will create new methods for generating water and research new building and power technologies. 2 systems will support the Artemis Base Camp, a lunar terrain vehicle that would allow astronauts to travel freely over the lunar surface, and the mobility platform will enable astronauts to leave the base for 45 days. In other words, the study states that mobility is a significant feature of the Artemis Base Camp. Mars is a massive asset since it will require a vehicle that can be used to explore the planet. The study proposes using the space station that's already circling the moon, called the Gateway, as a means to carry out Mars analog missions. The trip will include the astronauts spending many months on the Gateway to simulate the mission length to Mars and then going down to the moon's surface. Then they will return to the Gateway to finish the mission's timetable. In the long run, the plan is for Artemis to include a lot of detailed research about the moon and preparation for the exploration of Mars. An eventual addition to Artemis Base Camp will be a rover that could run operations for delivering analysis and technological payloads to various parts of the moon, a task that the Artemis base crew might take on using locally produced fuel. NASA's Artemis missions will break the record by putting the first woman and landing the first human on the moon in over 50 years with the aid of unique technological innovations. The company's long-term presence on the moon will include working with commercial and international partners, after which humans will be sent to Mars. NASA recently published a new Artemis moon mission information, including further info about building up a lunar base and sending a crewed trip to the moon in decades. The space agency has detailed plans for many future trips and the research they hope to carry out. Towards the end of the decade, NASA plans to construct a base on the moon's south pole, one of their most ambitious projects. The first physical human colony on another planet, the Artemis Base Camp, will be established by NASA through the Artemis 3 mission in 2024. The agency's new 188-page study goes into depth on NASA's objectives and reasoning for the project. The Guardian writes that we can expect to see several differences in how early Artemis missions will go. In a press release, Thomas Zurbuchen, the Associate Administrator for NASA's Science Mission Directorate, stated that the Science Mission Directorate has already established a collaborative approach with the human exploration side of their agency to maximize our strengths. This approach will take on added significance in the wake of the Artemis program. It will also serve as a guide that we can follow to do all the fascinating research on the moon in cooperation with future space tourists. Logsdon said he believes that President Biden has stated that tackling climate change is one of his goals. NASA will probably be a vital part of that endeavor. Such a significant shift would break with the objectives of the Trump administration. Remember, he had the US pull out of the Paris Agreement on climate change. Demands in the White House budget throughout his tenure have frequently attempted to terminate NASA Earth research programs. However, Congress has generally restored funding to the targeted projects. NASA Earth science and a delay in the lunar landing are believed to function well altogether. Stallmer claims that his plan to spread the funds out across several years will free up cash to spend on Earth's research. He also anticipates a warmer attitude to multilateral collaboration. Logsdon also said that the Trump administration had shown a more rigid diplomatic policy, citing the Artemis Accords as evidence. For an individual to join the Artemis project, the participating countries must follow these guidelines. The Accords are pretty good overall. From the discussions with some of the local representatives of other nations, it was not appreciated. The satellite images show that the amount of glacial lakes has increased by 50% since 1990. He emphasized that NASA and the US space program generally are doing well despite this, with the help from the National Space Council, which drives policy. During his presidency, Trump restarted the NSC. In the early 1990s, although the council, led by George H.W. Bush, had been active, it is unclear if Biden will stay at the helm of the NSC. Many other questions remain about his space policy goals. Hopefully the answers will come with time. Experts predict that Vice President Mike Pence's ambitious goal, set for 2019, would be pushed back under the Biden administration. However, Logsdon argues that as a space enthusiast, Biden may create his legacy with the program by capitalizing on the Moon and Mars missions to promote nationally. Biden's choice for NASA administrator will likely provide a clearer view of things in the long run. With his choices for other high-profile federal positions, Biden has left his mark in history, and with that, NASA may get its first female administrator in the organization's 62-year existence. We'll keep our fingers crossed, hope for the best, and see what happens. That's it for today's video on SpaceX Moonbase. What is your opinion on this matter? Let us know in the comment section.